So we just got a case settled earlier this week that I think is a good example of what you can accomplish when you put in hard work on your cases, when you work diligently for your clients, when you don't let setbacks discourage you, and you keep doing what you need to do to get justice for your clients. So this case concerned a woman who came to the defendant's nursing facility with a wound already on her leg. And the defendants had orders, the doctors gave orders to provide dressing changes to this wound daily, to provide topical creams and ointments that were supposed to help prevent infection, to observe the wound daily and report back to the doctors and the nurse practitioners about what the nurses and the staff were seeing with the wound. And there was a lot of evidence in the record that the nurses just weren't doing that. They weren't doing dressing changes every day. They weren't following the doctor's orders. And as a result, our client's mother developed an infection in that wound that it led to a very long course of treating this wound infection before she passed away. Several months of very painful and really pretty terrible treatments, a colostomy to help prevent the wound from getting fecal matter in it. This was a pretty frightening case in many ways, but there were some very solid defenses as well. And one of the big defenses was that our client's mother was refusing some of the wound care treatment, and that because of that, the wound wasn't getting better. So we had a mediation scheduled to try and settle the case earlier this year, and 2 weeks earlier than their report deadline, on the evening before the mediation, the defendants disclosed 6 expert reports that pretty much tore our case apart, said that there was no viable claims, and pointed the finger at a bunch of other providers that weren't in the lawsuit. And that's not terribly surprising, but it can certainly be a little bit of a shell shock when right before you're talking about settling the case, the defendants give you 6 very compelling reports with some pretty compelling defenses that show why they're going to succeed, why the jury's not going to find them liable. But the mediation really was pretty disappointing in the sense that the defendants, were riding high on these reports, weren't offering very much, certainly not anything we'd recommend our client accept. And I think a lot of attorneys would be pretty discouraged. They'd say, you know what, maybe I've overvalued this case, or maybe I haven't fully evaluated the strength of our own claims. And they might advise the client under those circumstances to just accept what's on the table and be done with it. But we had a conviction about this case. We felt strongly about this case, and we felt strongly that what our clients were telling us was the truth. And so we continued to pursue it. We walked away from the mediation. We continued to work on the case. We took depositions after the mediation, including a deposition of one of the treating doctors who I think the defendants expected to carry the day for them to really put our case to bed. But in fact, he was very helpful for our case. We made a lot of very good points with him. And so we were able to get the defendants to come back to mediation a second time. And without being on the back foot, having made it quite a few advances by continuing to work hard on the case, we were able to get the case resolved for certainly much more than what was offered in the initial mediation, and an amount that I think was quite surprising to our clients given what they were hearing in that first mediation. So that's one of the things that I think any attorney that does, well, whether it's nursing home litigation or really any kind of work for any kind of client, to take away is that if you continue to work hard on the case, you work diligently, you trust in your clients, I think that you're going to accomplish some terrific results for the people you represent, and you're certainly going to walk away with the gratitude and the satisfaction of your clients and their appreciation, which honestly is the best reward of all.